Today we'll start the session. Our objective will be a continuation of the structures. We'll go with while loop and brief with while loop along with the for loop, what might be the difference, and implementing the shift registers, and we'll do some of the programs by using the shift registers. Better we can understand that where we can applicable for shift registers. And next we'll go with the arrays. We'll do some of the array programs and then graph, how to represent or display a graph. And then we'll go with the case structure and some sequence structures, examples. So maximum what I'm going to cover is for doing any applications, simple applications, what might be knowledge is required. Those things we are going to be covering and just glimpsing you people to that to further implementations. So with this aspects, we'll go with the while loop. Just I'll start with the new VI. So yesterday we done with the for loop. So I think we done some of the problems or programs in using for loop. Let me see that what is the while loop, where it is be applicable while loop, and all. What is the difference in for and while loop? We'll see that. So come to the block diagram and find the while loop. Click on this. Drag this while loop as same as your for loop. See here, this is your iteration and this is the condition where you are going to be stop your while loop. Otherwise, this while loop will continuously run if this condition is not satisfied. Here, so same way, but in the for loop, where there is a condition is n, it will be stop the for loop n-1 conditions. But here, while loop, the iteration start from the 0 until your condition what you given here. See, this is the Boolean condition. So we can change these conditions. See, there is a three options. Two options are there. There is a true. It means once you are given as a true conditions here, the while loop will stop. Or you can give the continue if true or stop if true. The two conditions are given here. Let me see that how it will be works. Okay. So first I'll want to see that iteration. That's what I'm taken as a numerical indicator. I connect it to your indicator. The iteration I'm seeing here, but I want to give the true conditions or false conditions to stop my while loop. So what I'm going to do here is I'll take the one stop button. There is a in front panel. We have the Boolean. In Boolean, we have the stop button. Okay. Once I press this, once I press the stop button, I'm getting as a true. So whenever it is true, your while loop has to be stopped. This is what the condition I given. Once I want to stop my program or stop my loop, if I going to stop, press the stop button, then it will be going to stop the while loop. So let me run with the one shot run. You can see that I'm taken as a whatever your numerical value is floatable value. So that's what it is incrementing. The iteration is going on. Once I going to press the stop button, your while loop has stopped. Okay. With this condition, I want to display the number from 1 to 10. How am I going to display the 1 to 10? How am I supposed to do this? Okay, so let me take this iteration. Is incrementing. Okay, I want to put the condition. I want to condition is n. This is your n. So whenever my n become 10, then I want to stop this. So now I don't want the stop button. It has to be stopped automatically. Okay. So how I'm supposed to do? See, whatever this iteration I value become equal to n, then your while loop has to be stopped. So what I'm going to do is I'll take the comparison statement. I will take the equal when my n variable what I given, okay, it should be equal to your iteration, then I'm getting as a true value. So then true in the sense, then only the while loop has to be stopped. Is it clear? So the condition what I given as n, the while loop has started from 0 to whatever the n. Here it is, there is no n minus 1. It is n. Okay. When I is become equal to n, that is 10, then you're getting as true condition. So that true will be I given to your loop condition. Whenever it is true, it is going to be stop the while loop. So while seeing my number, I'll giving that delay. So in the block diagram, there is a timing delay. Go to the wait for the milliseconds. So I'll giving the constant for it. So I given the constant. Let me run now. So you can see that the number varies from 0 to n, not n minus 1. So whenever n become 10, your loop will be terminated. Clear? So with this, we can came to know that the difference in for loop and the while loop. For loop will terminated with n minus 1 condition. Here the while loop. So you need to give the termination when you're supposed to terminate the program. Okay. So normally in your application, probably by using a LabVIEW, so you don't want to go with the continuous run. Okay. So once you created the build your exe file, you upload into your hardware, then you are not going to run with the continuously. You can run with a single shot run. So when you want to stop this program, that should be terminated by your while loop. That's what all the program should start with the while loop. Yeah. So yesterday we had done some program in for loop. The same program we can do it in the while loop. Then you can understand what made the difference. So same thing like first finding the sum of n number. So here I'm getting as n number. I need to do that sum of that number. Okay. So same way, take that addition. This is what you're getting as I. And display the sum, that is indicator I'm displaying here in the front panel, sum. I given that output is here. So we know that sum is equal to sum plus I. This is what I fed it back to as input to this. So you can directly feed it back, or you can take the feedback node. So if you are done this, automatically it is taken as a one feedback node here. Okay. This is taken as a feedback node. So now I want to create the constant to this. So constant is 0. Clear? Let me do it for addition of 5 numbers. So you can observe that 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. So 5 number I am displaying here. Same way I am going to get the sum of 5 numbers in the sum manner. Clear? So similarly, instead of changing that factorial, whatever this addition, I replace with numerical pellets of multiplication. Okay, change this constant to 1. Now I should be start from 1. So that's what I incremented by 1. So before I made it a sum of n number, now I need to find the factorial of a number. So same way, so here I'm using the multiplication and the feedback I initialized to be 1. Let me run the same thing. So here the number is going to be displaying. Remember, you can observe that I incremented by 1 here. After that, I am displaying the number. So whenever I is 5, that number has taken as a 6. But you want to finding the factorial of 5 numbers. So automatically 1 into started with whenever that 5. Because I given the condition when n become 5, while loop has stopped. So that's what you are getting the factorial of 5 numbers. Clear? So this is the difference in while and the for loop. So maybe you can know the how to implement any programs using while loop and the for loop. Let me initiate it to the shift register in for loop and the while loop. What might be the shift register? We can observe that. Okay. So I'll creating a new VI. So what I supposed to do is just I'm taken the while loop. Taken the stop button. I connected to this. So now I tell you what is the shift register, because in our main applications, any application in W, probably I want the previous element or previous data in our iteration. I want to store back that data, because here where I use that feedback node, the same way I store that value as a shift register. So that what I'm going to do is right click on your while loop, right click, add a shift register. So he added the shift register here. So how it will be happening here is, for example, I is equal to 0. At that time, this is the value it is taken, the present value. This is the taken as a previous value. What is the previous of first iteration? Okay, you'll come to the next iteration. This will be taken as a second iteration value, and this value it is taken as a previous value. Let me analyze. We'll do some example, then you can understand this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I've taken some of the LEDs to be displayed with I'm taken some 4 LEDs. Okay. So whatever I given the value here, present value, it is coming, and that value in the next iteration, it is coming to this value. Okay. So for that, I connected to that first LED. Let me see what is happening here. Okay. Don't worry about it is showing as a broken wire, because default it is taken as a numeric until I initializing the value of the shift register. Okay. So next the value I need to be add one more element. So add an element. So that value comes to here in the next iteration. Okay. That is, I want to see that. I connected to the next LED. One more I want it. Add an element. I connected to the third one. One more element I am going to be add. So all 4 LEDs I connected. So we'll just check out that how it will be works. So for controlling this, I'm using one Boolean input. So I given the Boolean input here. Now, once I initialize this value, shift register as a Boolean, automatically all the shift values is taken as a Boolean. Before what I said, or default it is taken as a numeric. So in the numeric, I connected a LED. That's what it shows an error as a broken wire. Okay. Now let me run this program. So initially, I'm not given any value here. So let me given as first value to this 1. So 0. I want to know that the iteration has some delay. Okay. So just I'll go to creating the delay. Now we can observe that. So first I given the 1. So 1 is coming here. Next is comes to the next LED. Now I'll given 0. 0 it comes to the first LED. 1 I'll given input here. Next iteration the value it is coming here. So likewise the value I can store back here. So whatever in the first iteration what I given 1 it is stored in the first LED. That data has shifted here. I made it as 0. So likewise you can see that the data I can store back by using the shift register here. You can observe the data flow here, how the data flow it is happening. Okay, first is 0 it is coming. So 0 it is comes to the next iteration. So now I made it as 1. 1 it is comes to the next iteration. See that? You can see that true is coming here. That value it is shifted to the next shift register. Likewise, the data has shifting. Now I made it as 0. 0 it is shifted to the next iteration. So this is your present value and the next iteration it comes to here. And this value it is shifted to the shift registers. So this is how I can use the shift register. Now how I'm going to be implement in other applications. Let me see that. So if any doubt with the shift register, you can text or anything. Any doubts?
Sir, can you once again briefly explain everything, sir?
Shift registers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. As we know that while loop, how it is working. So I connected the stop button here to stop my while loop. So first I'm going to be adding my shift register. Highlight your while loop. Right click on that. Add shift register. Okay, sorry for the interruptions. Just highlight your while loop. I'm added the shift register. So now what I'm going to do is, I default it is taken as a numerical whatever the value of the shift register is a numerical. I just connected to the Boolean. Now your shift register as a Boolean. You can see that the color has changed to green. Now I connected to first LED here. Okay. Let me first, I'll run this. You can see that I made it 0. 0 it is comes to the next iteration. Now I made it as 1 now. So 1 it is coming. Next iteration, the value it is coming to here 1. Here, this 1 I need to shift it to next value for the next iteration. So I want to be add that value. How I'm going to be add the next shift register? So now I just click on your shift register, right click on this, add element. You can add the next element. So I connected to the one of your LED. So first iteration, present value here is present value, and the next iteration, this value it is comes to this shift register, and that value will be shifted for in each iteration. So how many time you want to shift, that many add shift elements. So I'm adding the shift element here. Okay, so same one I can use for the counters, as we discussed in some of the digital electronic system. So how I going to be generate counters? So this is how we can make a counter or shift registers. So that one value, it is shifted. Whatever the value you are given as an input, that value has shifted of your bits. Clear? Some more understanding purpose for the shift register, we'll do some of the experiments, programs, then you can understand that. Fine. Let me start with some of other experiments or other programs by using the shift registers. As we done with the finding the factorial of a number by using your while loop. So this same finding the factorial, I'm going to implement by using the shift register. Okay. Let me see that. Add the shift register. Right. So now what I'm going to do is I deleted the feedback node because I want the previous element to be multiplied. So here I use the shift register. Okay. So now fine. Now that initial value here I created as 1. This is 1 I'm taken. Presently this is the one as sum or factorial. Here I'm done with the factorial. So this is your factorial. I assign to this. Okay. So what is that fact is equal to? Fact is equal to whatever your I in first 1 into 1 and then 2 into previous element likewise. So this is where your previous element that I'm taken as to your multiplication. Clear? So now you can see that. So 1 into 1, 1 into 2, 2 into 3. By using the shift register, I take that previous element for multiplication. Clear? So now the value it is taken as 6 factorial because I'm taken as your 6 iteration here. Clear? So this is how we can use the shift registers for to take back the previous elements. Fine. So now I think you are clear with the shift registers. Same way we can do with finding the sum of n numbers. Replace this to be addition, numeric addition. So here make this to be 0 and I don't want to this one. I take this as to be 0 only. Okay, sum of n number, you can see that so until your fifth element, it is going to be added of some numbers. So this is how I can use the shift registers. right? The same thing I can use to for loop also. Let me do it in the for loop. Take this for loop. Okay. Take the n here. I connect it to n. So here, highlight your for loop, add the shift register. Fine. Now I want to make the sum of n number. So take that addition. So first I value dash, and this is your sum number, and take the one indicator. This is your sum. I connected to sum. Now I want that previous element. I'm taken this previous element. So previous element, you want to be initialized to this, create a constant. So I initialize to 0 now. So this is the first iteration that is happening. Next iteration, this has to be fed back to here. That's what I connected to here. The value I fed back to here to be add with the next element. So next, I given this 5 element. You can observe that of 5 of n elements. So here I started from 0 to n minus 1. So until your 4, it is going to be added. The for loop will be stopped with n minus 1 element. Fine. So this is how we can use to implement your while loop as well as the for loop. Next, very interesting one will go with arrays. Okay. What is an array? Array is a set of elements. It may be your integer, or it may be a character, or it may be a boolean. So here, how do you create an array, right? So in the block diagram, we have the data containers. So in that we have an array, clusters, matrix, all one we are having. We'll go with the first an array. So I'm selecting an array. So this is your array. What kind of array element you want? So here I want just numeric. Numeric in the sense you want an input or output array. I want an input array. Remember, so first I'm repeating once again. Go to the front panel, go to the data container. There is an array. Just you place it here. So this array, you want what kind of a data type? It may be a numeric, or it may be a boolean, or it may be a character. So let me take a numeric. Numeric in the sense you want an array as an input or an output. Let me take as a control. Now your array as a control array. How many elements you wanted? You click on this corner to drag down. How many elements you want the size of an array? You can take that much of an array. Same way, you can take an indicator, place it here. This is now array indicator. You just drag down how many elements you want. That many element you will get it. Okay. So you just connect it to directly to this. We'll give the input here. So this is your array inputs. So I am telling that this is a single dimensional array. This is your index. Array of 0, 2, array of 1, 3, array of 4. Like that it will be 0, 1, 2. This is the index. Remember. So this shows your index. You want a 2-dimensional array. So you want to increase that index. So go to here, just drag down. Now this is your 2-dimensional array. You can drag like this. Now it is 2-dimensional array. But you want single dimensional array, you minimize this index, you will get the single dimensional array. Whatever the element you are placed. So even you can place the element in the row wise or in the column wise, it doesn't matter, but it is only the looking of your arrays. Okay, let me run this. Whatever the element you are placed. So this is the element you are given the input. So just I connect it to the output. I'm getting the same thing. Now with this, what can I do that? So I know how to take an input. I know how to take a output. Now I want to generate myself. I want to generate some array. How I'll generate? So let me, I know that generating the, using the for loop, I'll take this for loop. Okay. What is the size of an array? Size always n minus 1. Take this control. This is your n. Just I connect it to your for loop. Okay. So what is the element I want to place in an array? Let me take some random number. Okay. So we have the numeric, we have the random numbers. See the random number in the sense, each iteration, the value it is generated from 0 to 9, sorry, 0 to 1. The value it is generated itself, random number it is generated from 0 to 1. Okay. So this is the one, if I connected inside, let me one indicator I want to take this. Just I connected to here. You can observe only until your, let's say the n I'm taken as a 5. 0 to n minus 1, the random numbers are generated inside the loop. Let me run this. You can see that the random numbers are generated. I want it outside the values. Remember, you can see that just I take that indicator outside. Now it is taken as through the tunnel. This is what we called as a tunnel of the for loop. Okay, go to your cursor onto this, right click on the tunnel. So I can change the tunnel mode, right? So there is a tunnel mode. So here I'm taken the last value. If I go to take an indexing value, now automatically this has generated as an array. Okay, one dimensional array. How it will the one dimensional array will taken. So that's value, whatever this value, I'm deleting here. Instead of this, I connect it to your array and taken. Clear? So random number it is generated until your n minus 1. So that random number I'm going to store each by index into my array 2. How it will be? For example, array of 0, that when I is 0, the value it is storing here. Let me run this. So now you can see that five random numbers are generated and stored in the array 2. This is where whenever I is equal to 0, the value it is comes to here. Whenever I is equal to 1, like that, with an array values, it is stored automatically. Okay. So I can modify this random number generations. Let me do some of the other array operations. I want to take the element from in an array, any one element in between the array. How I'm going to take that element? Okay. So we have array functions. See this enormous array functions. You can find the size of an array, index of an array. We can find the subset of an array or any element we can insert. See, these things we can do not only a numbers, even in the character also we can do this. Okay. You want to delete any element from an array, or you want to initialize or build an array. You can create a subset of an array, or you can find a minimum number or maximum number of an array. All the functions are available. So let me see that first one is index of an array. I can't complete all the one, which are the important one. I'll going to do this. Okay. Let me first finding an index of an array. So this is an array what I'm getting, array 2. I'm taken this array to here. Which element I want it, that is the index I want to give it here. So let me give it as an index value. This is your index value. Let me give it as third one. Okay. So what is the third element present in your array? That I can see it here. So create one indicator. Let me run this. What is the third element? So you can see that third element 0, 1, 2, 3. Third element is 0.0079, whatever your element. This is your third element. I can make it as second element. This is a 0, 1, 2. That is 0.855. So let me see that. So whatever so because the random number I made it, every time the value is changing. So second indexed value 0, 1, 2, that is 0.638. It is showing as that. So likewise, I can insert the element into an array or find an element in an array. I can do by using index of an array. Clear? So we know that how to generate an array, how to inserting an array, or we have, let me take one more functions. We have a rotate. So this is, I have an array. I connect it to this array. So I create an indicator. This is array. So how many times you want to rotate? So this is normally it is right rotations. So just creating a constant. So second, only one time I want to rotate. So here what is the input I given? Just rotating only one time. You can see that the data has rotated to the what is this right side. So third element comes to the first element. This comes to the second. Likewise, it is rotating. Clear? So see, likewise, whatever the functions are available in the arrays, we can do. Clear? So, or we can take one more array functions like any finding, like anything. Okay, let me take it as for sorting an array. So I'll just take the same array. After rotations, I'm taken, or before rotation, I'm taken this array. Okay, let me see that after sorted. So this is your fine. Now let me see that. You can see that this is what the given input array. This is sorted array. It is sorted automatically, right? So likewise, we can use functions of array functions, whichever it is there, we can modify your array element. Okay. So any doubt with respect to array?
So using that randomly generator, can we use it for more than 0 or 1, sir? Like from 1 or something?
Yes. Okay. I'll do another way is instead of random number. Okay. I just connected to index only. I connected. Okay. So how it will be? I start from 0 to n minus 1. That whatever the value I directly stored into my array. Clear? So let me see that. Let me run this. So now you can see that the whatever this array start from 0, 1, 2, 4 until 4 element. So let me give it as 10 element. The array element you are getting as 0 to 9. So you can get the array element from 0 to 9. Okay. Now you want to be modify this. what you going to modify? You want to something with this, you want to add with this 2 number or multiplication, whatever the things you wanted, you can put it here, I value, and give some constant to this. Let me 2, I give it to here. So whatever I value, it is added by 2. Okay, and stored in your array element. So likewise, it is stored in the array element. Or instead of this, you take the random number, connect it to this, that will be added by I, that will be stored in here. It is a random number along with I. So likewise, I can generate any numbers in an array element, or you can give the whatever the array element directly manually. I can give the array elements. Okay. Only thing is the tunnel mode. See the tunnel mode, we need to understand that. So it should be a last value in the sense it after the for loop ending, what is the last element? That element is stored into your or display into that. Or you want index value, then it take the with iteration values. What you passed out of the loop, that will be stored in an array. Any doubts with an arrays? I think hopefully you people understand some concept by using for loop, while loop along with arrays.
Yes, sir.
Right. Next, we'll go with some of graphs. Okay, it is main important one because I want to display some values onto the graph. How I want to display, right? Let me see that. This is very important. They are very interesting one also. See in the front panel, we have the graph. So these many things we can plot. Fine. So I'll giving some of the graphs here. I have the chart, I have the waveform, and also I have the XY graph. So I tell you what is the difference between these three and how do you utilize this chart and graph. Let me see that. Okay. Just I'll take the waveform chart. So chart, it takes the only single values. Okay. So let me plot the values through the charts. Let me take one follow. I've taken the size of this follow. 10 element I want to take. So I'm taken the random number only. Let me take random because plotting the random number, it is easy. So now I just connected the random number. I'm creating the random number. Those random number, I need to plot it. Whatever I display in the arrays, same way I plot in the chart. How well suppose, let me run this. See now, I'll change the length. Okay, now you can see that the random values through the chart, it will be displaying with respect to time. Time, it shows your iteration time. For whenever I is 0, what is the value? I is 1, what is the value? Whenever I is 10, what is n minus 1? This is the 9th one. What is the value? That will be plotted on the chart. Okay. Let me do it once again. One more time I am running this. See now, you can observe that the chart, it is a continuous plot. See, after ending of that time, 9th, where in the first running time it is stopped. Continuation of that, it will be running until your n minus 1. Are you getting? This is the only the difference in chart. The same thing, I want to plot this into the graph. Okay. I'm taken the graph. Yeah, in bubble sort is very simple. That is what I showed in the sorting array. that is the one technique they are implemented. Okay. So normally sorting, we can go for, we have the data set. The data set I want to sort. So in that case, we can use that. The numerical sort, it is very simple. We can do that. But if you go for some data sets value for sorting or finding an element in the data sort, that is, we can use in arrays. Okay, fine. So now I'll go with graph. You can observe that. See now, this is the ending previous loop, 19th to the next 9th, whatever the n minus 1, it is plotted. Same thing, now it is plotted from 0 to n minus 1, 9 in the graph also. But graph doesn't retain the previous values. Remember, now I'm going to do once again. So now again, it starts from the 0 with the end with the n minus 1. This is also same thing, but it takes from the previous element. Okay, it takes from the previous element chart as plotted. If I continue this, see from the 39, it is continuation is happening. But graph, it takes only the from the starting from the 0 until you are where you are stopped the loop. That is n minus 1. That is the difference between chart and the graph. Okay, so same thing you want to, you can observe that. I'll create some delay. Now I'll, because one shot run. Okay, what is happening here is, after this loop only the value it is going outside of the loop. That's what it is not taken continuously. I'll go and run with I should suppose to use the looping, not possible. Because inside the for loop, if I given the loop, it will be wait until the loop iteration. Whenever the n minus 1 has satisfied, then it is terminated your loop, and then the value is going to be plotted on the chart, because I taken the chart outside the loop. That's what. That is the only thing. Or I'll taken as an inside now. Let me see that. Okay. So now I'm going to run this. You can observe that continuously the value it is. Okay, I'll create now delay.
Sir,
Yes.
why only 10 data points are being displayed in waveform chart? It should be cumulative, right?
Because I given the numerical size is 10 only.
Okay.
For loop is ended
All the
with
data points?
5. Pardon?
If you want to see all the data points,
See, all the data points in the sense from the chart or the graph?
from the chart.
From the chart you need to take, you can start from the, you can change the size.
Okay.
Okay, while running time, you can observe that once you can change the you can modify that. Okay. Chart, it is continuation of your data from that variable. Graph, it present loop, what is the existing value that will going to be plotting. That's what the difference in chart and graph. Where you want to be use the graph, you should know. Where you want to use the chart, you can know that.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right. Now you can see that with the delay of n minus 1, the data value it is moving by each iteration by iteration. Clear? Fine. So with this, I'll go with one more way of plotting this. I think I'll have the no. Now I want to plot with XY graph. XY graph. Here, remember, this has the two variables. One is X, another one is Y. These two variables want to be plot, it should be merged. Two data signal has to be merged and given to your XY graph. Okay. How am I supposed to do that? Let me take one follow. Same way taken as one numerical n. I given here. Let me take it as 10. Okay. I'm taken the sine and cos waveform to be plot. Sine waveform I'm taken as in x and y I is supposed to taken as a cos. Okay. Let me find out that. Go with the mathematics. We have an elementary, exponential or trigonometric functions. Yeah. In trigonometric functions, we have both sine and cos functions. I'm repeating. Right click, go to mathematics. We have an elementary. We have some trigonometric functions. Okay. Let me take the sine and cos function. Right. So just I given the I value here because this is works as sine of x. So x it should be a radians, but I given a numerical only. Let me see that how it will be getting the values of sine wave. This is the sine wave and this is your cos of x. X I given as I only. Okay. Now these two signal I should merge to given to here. Okay. We have the merging signal in the cluster. In the cluster, we have the bundling the signals or unbundling the signals. Okay. So let me use this bundle the signals. So just connected to this, it means that two signal connected to each other, bundle each other. Okay. And give it to your XY graph. Clear? So sine of x, cos of x, where your I should be 0 to n minus 1. It is going to be taken. It is plotting. Okay. Let me run this. Okay. You can see that the values of sine into cos, merging that value, it will be something, the plot in the xy with respect to xy. Okay. So you can observe that in control system. Normally, you can generate what is that circle or pyramid or something like that by using this sine and the cos waveform. So you can use this XY graph to plot, right? So let me connect it to this one to radians. Okay, the difference between bundle and unbundle. See, normally I'll come to the cluster, then you can understand that. Cluster in the sense it is a collection of variables. So we have the different variables. I want to unbundle. It means that the variable I segregated out of that group. See, I have a structure. In the structure, I have the integer, float, and the character. Three variable I defined as a structure name. So I want to take the one variable outside of the structure to modify that. How am I going to take that? We know that dot operator, I take the value, I modified and again I put it back to the structure in RC programming. Here, I want to take the variable from the structure or the cluster. We going to be used this bundle or unbundle. Okay. This is by name. This is not the name. Clear? We'll come to the cluster. Then you can understand here. We'll come to the cluster later for this after completion of this. So then you can understand the concept of bundle and unbundle, where we're supposed to use this. Okay. Fine. Still any doubt with this? So now whatever that I variable, I converted to radians. Okay. So because the value of sin x and cos x always it should be taken as x should be a radians. Fine. Let me take the, thank you, numerical. So math function. In math function, we have the pi, 2 pi, pi by 2, 1 by pi. We have that. Okay. Let me take to conversion. It should be a 2 pi of this your I variable. So I variable, I should take the fraction of that element. So I am taken the fraction number to display. Okay, that should be multiplied by 2 pi. This is a fraction number and that is your multiplied by 2 pi. That will be converted to your radians. Now it is a radian of x I given as a radians. Now sin of x and cos of x, it should be a radians value. Now we can see the difference of the integer value along with your radians value. Now I'll go with continuous run. I'm changing the n value. You can observe that how your value has changing caused by sign. Your data, if you are increasing, you are getting as a full circle along with this. If you want to decreasing that, let me give it as the value as 5. You can see that 5. Let me increase that value. So otherwise you can generate a shapes with using sign of cos. Clear? Any doubt with respect to your graph and the chart and XY graph? We can change this to be 100. So in real time, I can give the input. I can see that what is the progressing is happening. Fine. Okay. With XY graph is any doubts? Shri Harshini is any doubts? Fine. So let's continue with the next concept because there is no time. Fine. So in the structures after the what all we completed is first we completed the numerical Boolean also we completed, and strings, as we know the string functions are there, we can do that. We have the graph, I given the glimpse of the graphs. Okay, so using all this variable in this block diagram in structures, I completed the for loop and the while loop. Okay, most probable we are going to be using the case structure. Okay, let me use for the case structure. We can understand easily what is a case structure, where we can applicable it is. Okay, after that we'll do some simple application by using all this one. It will be very good to understand. Okay, so fine. In C programming, you people know that switch statement. That is you have the variable. That variable have the n number of cases. Each cases how it should be matches, then it's going to be execute that case event. Likewise, here also we have the case structure. This is your case structure. Okay, which one you're not clear? You said Shri Ashini, it is not clear. Please tell me. I can repeat again. Which is the one? You want to repeat? Which is the one? Which concept you want to repeat? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, shall I continue with the switch statement or case structure? Fine. So, as usual, I'm repeating once again. Go to the structure. We have the case structure. Just drag down. See here, this is the condition or case, the value, whatever you want to select. And here we are getting the particular values. Okay. So first we'll do that, finding the number is positive or negative. We are using that or even or odd. We can do that. It is simple. Okay. So how we supposed to do that? So take this number. I've taken the number. Okay. So this number I want to divide by 2. Create a constant. I'm checking that remainder is equal to 0. Is equal to 0. Now here I have the two cases. That is a Boolean case. Okay. One is the case is true case and another one we have the false case. In the yesterday we done the same thing. Here we are using the select one. Okay. So here I can go with case structure to implement this. The same thing I connected to here. Okay. This is the Boolean now. Boolean case. You can see that Boolean case we have the true and false case. So comes to the true case, what I want to be display here. Okay. So let me take one indicator, string indicator. I'm taking this to be display that. So string indicator. In this case, what I supposed to be display. So go with the string and constant. So this is your true case. It is even number. So it is even number. So same thing I want to do it in the false case. So false case, what I supposed to do is just I'm copying this. Go to false case. Here odd number. Just connect it to this. This is a simple one. See now what is the case here? I'm checking the number with divide by 2 and comparing is equal to 0 the remainder. If it is remainder is 0, then it is a true case. I am printing that even number. If it is false, I am printing is odd number. Let me run this. Okay. Let me run this. You can see that whatever the number you can give it here, according to that, it is going to be displaying. So if it is 46, even number, any number you can give it here for it will be displaying here. Okay. So likewise in Boolean case we can use the case structure. Okay. We'll go with some other cases, numerical case. Okay. What I want to do is okay, in a week I just entering the day number, the day has to be displayed because here I want to just shows that how we add the numerical cases. Okay. So let me, instead of this, I'm deleting here, Control B. Just I connected to the numerical here. Okay. So once you connected the numerical, the case automatically started with 0 as taken as a default case. In all the switch statement, all the cases at the end, if it is not matched with any case, it comes to the default case. Okay. So that is your default case and this is your 1. First, your numerical is 1. What you supposed to do this? Okay. Let me do it for, this is your Sunday. I want to display as a Sunday. Okay. Same way. Next, remember, see this. After this, I need to be add the second number. How am I going to do this? Click on this, add case after. So now automatically second case will come. So add it to here, whatever your just I'm connecting to you. Yes. what is the use of string using number? No, here I'm giving the case structure, the case value as a number. So just I'm showing the string as one program, like in a week, I want to know the day number. For example, Sunday is the first day, Monday is second day. So here I given the input is 1 and 2, like this I given. So if I given as a fourth, what is the fourth day I want to display? This is what I am going to write the program. Here what I want to be explaining the concept is, in the case structure, true or false is the default case. That is, there is no default will come. True or false only getting in the Boolean. But if you are taken as a switch, as a numerical switch, so we have a n number of cases. Okay, how do you add the n numbers and how do you modify that case structure with the number? Clear? That is what I want to say this. So once you directly connected your numerical to your case, then automatically your case is taken as a 0 as a default, then 1 it automatically has taken. So I made it as first day as Sunday, and second day I want to be made it as Monday. Okay, so default, I'm just mentioning this invalid day or something like that. So I just, for showing an example, I'm taken only the 3 cases. So when your number is matched with 1, it's going to be displaying Sunday. When your number is matched with 2, it's going to be displaying Monday. If rather than 1 and 2, it takes as a default case as invalid day. Okay. So likewise you can do, or you want to add one more case, right click on this, add with your cases, after or before, how you want to make it as, you can add. Or you want to create a default case, again, you want to create a default case, you can make a default case or duplicate case. Or you want to delete that case, you go with the delete case. Okay, let me run this program, then you can see that. Okay. See now, whatever the given as a 42, it shows as invalid day. Let me given as 1, it shows as a Sunday. If you given as a, I want to second day, which is the second day, I can show the Monday. Whatever it is, if I, rather than that 1 and 2, whatever the number you can type it, it shows as invalid day. So this is how your case structure is working. Is it clear, Mr. Chandra?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear? Okay. So anything you can do by using the case structure, right? So let me take one example to implement here. Okay. So what I want to do is, I want to generate a function generator. Function generator. I want to generate sine wave or square wave or triangular wave. How I going to do this? Right. Let me implement this. Okay, I'll take the separate one, case structure. Okay, fine. In control, we have the enum, enumerization. Are you heard about that? Enumerization. Whatever your text has converted to number. Okay. Or you want a text string or menu ring, anything you can go use on this. Okay. See, because here why I'm going to be using this, I given the options to the user to choose your wave, sine wave or square wave or triangular wave, any wave you want to choose. First click on this, and then automatically I want to display the whatever the sine wave or square wave. This is what I want to do this. Okay. So let me use the enumerization, enum. Okay. So double click on this. edit item or it automatically coming that. Okay. First, what is that? I want to generate sine wave. Insert. Okay. So sine wave, the value it is taken as 1. So enum, automatically the value it is converted to numeric. Okay. Then again I want to use the cos, and next triangular wave. Okay. So okay, fine. This is enough. So I taken as a 3 variable. One is sine, cos, triangular. All these values as taken as the values as 0, 1 and 2. Remember, for 0 it is triangular, cos is 1 and sine is 2. Fine. Now I made it as click OK. Now we can see once you click, move on your cursor, you can see the options are coming. So once I click on sine wave has to be display with respect to your frequency, amplitude and all the things. I want to do that. Similarly, if I want to change to cos wave, so cos wave has to be generated, or triangular, it has to be generated. Okay. Likewise, or cos instead of, I'll going to do that square wave. Okay. 3 sine square triangular. So yes, enum is a keyword, but here how do you use that? That is what the things, because in the C programming, how do you using that enum and whatever the variable name within the flower bracket, you've given the variable list. Those variable list is converted to numerical values. The same way, here I want to create it as a enum variables or 3 variables, triangular, square wave, sine wave. I know that the triangular, the value it is converted to 0, square wave is 1, sine wave is 2. Like the variable has a unical in numbers, it's converted to numbers. That is what we know that enum. Okay. These are the cases I am generated. I connected to here. Now we can see that triangular, square wave, and then add case after sine wave. See, all the wave I'm getting, default it is taken as a triangular wave, square wave, sine wave. So now in this I want to display the waveform. So let me see that in LabVIEW, Signal Express, you come to the higher semester, maybe you can come to know that TWT, signal modulation, whatever AM signal, all one we can do easily here. ASK, FSK, okay, frequency modulation, amplitude modulation, all one we can do that. Simple we can do that. So I'll show you how we're supposed to do in this. So there is an express, okay. I'll show you once again. Right click on the block diagram. There is an express. Okay. Again, go with the input. So in input, sorry, we have the signal express. Data communication. Outputs, signal analysis. Okay, we have the simulate signal. Okay, click on this, place it inside this. So I'm repeating once again. Right click on this, go to the express. We want an input here. So normally if you have the data acquisition card, through the data acquisition card, we can read the signals, whatever the signal you wanted. So this is the functions we have that. But I want generate myself, signal generate. Okay, you want to simulate yourself. You have the simulate signal. Click on this, place it here. It automatically, we have the sine wave, or see, these are the waves I can generate: sine, square, triangular, sawtooth, or DC, anyone. Let me make it as for sine wave. Okay, so default it is 10.1 hertz of frequency, phase shift, offset, or the amplitude one. So if it is, you want to add noise, anything, you can make it of this. So now here I'm generating the sine wave. Okay, so here I'm going to plot the chart because I want to continuation the value. So here, what are the input I want to take? Okay, I want to take the frequency, amplitude, and offset. On this, if you given as default, what I given the default signal will come, or you want to modify the input, drag down. Okay, you are getting as amplitude, frequency, and offset. So I want to change those values. Okay, for this, I'm going to use the norm. This is your frequency. One more I'm taken. This is for amplitude. One more I'm taken for, see, these are all the inputs I'm taken. This is I'm taken as offset. So I just connected to amplitude variable to frequency. I'm connected to the frequency here, and offset. I change this offset. Okay. Next case, what is that case? Square wave. Click on this, double click on this. What is that wave you wanted? Square wave. Click on the square wave, make it okay. Now automatically has changed the square wave. You want to give the amplitude of square wave and frequency of this and offset of this. Next, copy and paste it for triangular wave. Double click on this, change this wave, triangular wave, make it okay. Now we can amplitude, frequency, and offset. So now we can see all the one I generated the sine wave, and similarly square wave, the output I should connect it to here, and whenever it is triangular wave, I connect it to triangular wave. Okay. So this should be run in while loop until my stop button, until my stop. This has to be run continuously. This is one simple application. Now it is clear. So I use as a enum whenever which is the one I want the sine wave, means I need to display the sine wave. Okay, so let me run this continuously. So now I'm getting the, I made it as sine wave. I'm changing that frequency. Okay, I changed to 100. changing this amplitude. So some of are replaced with the graph will go with the, let me check with that. What is the difference? We'll see that. So now we can see that instead of chart because it is a continuation wave, but here with respect to your amplitude, now we can see that amplitude, where is the amplitude? Now I'm getting as a sine wave. Okay. So now I change to the triangular wave. So triangular wave it is changing. So whatever the way we wanted, square wave, we can change the square wave. Want to stop it? Stop the button. Make it as 50. It will be simple. Make it as 50. So now we'll run this. You can observe that. Okay. The amplitude variation and frequency or offset, the DC value is shifted. You can see that. Amplitude value shifted to offset value or keep it 0. So likewise, I can generate my signal with using my K structure, whichever the way we want it. Select the triangular wave it is coming. It means that whenever this case has matched, so I generated the triangular wave here. Triangular wave it is coming here. Okay. So this is the one simple program to generation of your waves. So simple, it is a function generator, something function generator. You want to click on this like, okay, I want to click sine wave. So sine wave has generated, you want to change the frequency or amplitude, it automatically is changing with respect to that. Okay. So the same signal, I can give it to my acquisition card, I can generate, I give it to any of your circuitry. So this is also, it is possible here. Clear? So any doubts with this? Any doubts? This is a simple one. We made it for to be understanding the case structure, while loop, and enumerization. So please practice with respect to this information. You can do so many programs. Okay. So
Sir, can you tell me how to link real-time hardware to, like, for example, what's the data on the graph, sir? Like, for example, we are using a thermostat to measure the temperature in a room, and we are
yes.
recording the data. We are recording graph. So, how to link that real-time data to lab, sir?
Right. See, we have the data acquisition cards in LabVIEW. National Instrument has a set of data acquisition cards like DAC and RIOS. Okay. For the student version for 5 volts, we have the MyDAC and MyRIOS. It's all works with the 5 volts. It has an analog channel as well as the digital channels. So those channel we can directly program through our LabVIEW. We can access, like you people are working on Arduino boards. So even Arduino boards also we can work with the LabVIEW. That's also that platform it is supported. So you are connecting your thermistor to your one of your unlocked channel, those channel I can read the data with respect to time. So those data I can put it onto the graph directly. This is how we can do. So we have, I think I'll show you that. I think maybe is installed. I don't know. No, my system, it is not installed. So I have one more Maker Hub. This is the tool we can use for your any Atmega processors like Arduino boards. You can use this toolkit, Maker Hub toolkit, to implement your third-party hardware like your Arduino board or Atmega board. Directly, you can link to your USB port. It will be detected through your port, and it is detecting your I/O channels. Okay, I'll show you how one simple example in this.
Sir, can you please extend this discussion, if at all it is possible, to interface for Raspberry Pi and BeagleBoard Black also?
That is possible, sir, but that video is not possible to do that. If you want, I can make out one. I have the one video to you. I can share you that how to interface the Arduino or Raspberry Pi to a system, and through LabVIEW how to program with that. I can show you that. Okay.
So please, sir. Please
even in the Maker Hub, I can clearly explain, because it takes a lot of time. Each individual peripheral. See, for example, so many peripherals are there. Unlocked peripherals and digital peripherals. Even whatever kind of sensors we have, normal sensor for supported with the 5 volts. Those are, we can communicate it with the LabVIEW with a third party, Arduino Uno or Arduino platforms. Okay. So there is a separate firmware, it is available. That firmware we need to be installed. It will be supported through your Maker Hub. Right, sir? So that is Arduino or Raspberry Pi. Directly we can interface and we can program with that. I'll show you one simple example in that. So go to the Maker Hub, we have the link. So first we need to open this. See, it is supported through the serial port. Okay. It is asking that which port it is connected. So if you connect it, it is going to be identified. So once it is identified, then you can take that through port, which channel you want to be reading that. So go to the peripheral, you want to read the unlocked channel or digital channel. So you want to read the value from the unlocked channel. So you can go unlock channel and read it. So it will be taken that. So here you can see that unlocked channel. So you give the reference to which channel you are reading. For example, your thermistor, you are connected to the unlock line of A0 or A1, A2 something. You are connected to that. So give the channel number. And corresponding voltage level, it is coming here. Okay. You take that voltage level, you can plot it or scale the value with respect to what is the value read by your sensors. That is how we can do that. Is it clear, sir?
Yes, sir. Please share the video related to that also, sir. Link for that.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. One more thing I want to discuss, because as per some of the participant as requesting that they want the multi-simulator. So that's what I made a hurry to be complete. Even so many things are there, it's not possible to complete the 5 days with 1.5 hours. So this is only the glimpse we are given to you people to understand the LabVIEW. Then onwards you can continue your work. Also, we want to give you, tomorrow we give you the multi-simulation. So for example, in multi-simulator, how to simulate your electronic circuits or any mechanical circuits. We are just giving some of the applications in multi-simulation. Better you can understand how to program in multi-simulator, NI multi-simulator, with your electronic circuits. Have the electronic circuits you can rig up and you can communicate your signal through your multi-simulation, or you can modify or process anything you can do with your processor. So that is what we planned it. So tomorrow we giving you the multi-simulation introduction as well as some of the programs and how to utilize the multi-simulator, and also further related to your PPTs and as well your videos, all the one we plan to be put it along with your certificates at the end of the day. So because video, it is taken as more size, 1.5 GB, 2 GB, it is not possible to share directly. So that's what we are scrutinizing the part, which is the one, it is very important part. So those things, we plan it to be put it onto that. And in multi-sim, yes, electrical also we can do, mechanical, electronics also we can do in the multi-simulation. So multi-sim we are going to be explaining tomorrow. Also we may be sharing the software to you now, a multi-simulator 14 version. Please install your system and you can practice on that. Probably all the electronic students may be working on that multi-simulator. So we going to be explaining the different platforms. Okay. So we trying to be inserting the PLC in multi-simulator. So how it will be works. So because point of the mechanical faculty are the students, we going to be explaining the PLC in multi-simulator along with some of the electronic and electrical circuit to be generated or simulations on tomorrow.
I have one.
Anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Tell me, sir.
Yes. Regarding, as you said, that it is just a glimpse. Like,
Please loudly, sir.
Yeah. As you said that it is
Please loudly.
cover the 5 days. Hello, can you hear me?
It is not.
Can you hear,
sir? Yeah.
now?
Yeah. Now it is okay. Please tell me, sir.
As you said that it is not possible to cover all the things in these 4-5 days, that I can understand. So in that aspect, I would like to ask that can you provide us some materials like which we can follow after this end of these 5 days?
Definitely.
To, like, practice ourselves.
Definitely, sir. We are there for that. Definitely, sir. We are there for that too. Because
whether that be PPTs, videos, or some official manuals of the softwares which your company already has, something like that.
Definitely, I'll share you the total manual. Go with your lab, each individual thing you can refer with that manual. Not only the manual, with respect to all the functions, we have so many examples to be understanding. We are also sharing all the examples. Along with that, some of the projects, some of the mini projects, simulation projects, that's also we going to be sharing that. Don't worry about it. Here we are not making any money kind of things. This is only the knowledgeable sharing webinar. Okay. Don't worry. We are all sharing all the information to your mail ID, whichever we are communicating to now.
Okay. Many thanks.
Thank you. And any people are want to be really to be go with the certification, definitely want the training, because in our center, academic center, so many people, or even the company from the BL and ISRO people are coming to our college to take up the training. Okay. So many people are clear the CLAT certification people in our center, and their people are working in NI platform companies. Also, our students taken the intern as in National Instrument. So anyone want to be interested to learn after your education or in the what is the vacation period, or anyone are interested, please come to us, come to here, and we have enormous hardware, because The outsiders doesn't have any hardware. NI hardware is the, you want to purchase any single sensors or single data acquisition board, it costs be more than 50,000 rupees. So that will be not affordable. So please, you can utilize our center. So you can practice your own work, or you can have projects or any kind of certification program or anything you can you wanted, you can communicate to me. Okay. So this is not any advertisable things, but I given the reference what our academy is also is doing it. So if anyone are interested, you can come and yeah.
So regarding certificate, I have one more query. That is, this certification program is different. And for this 5-day seminar, are we going to get any certificate? That I have a doubt actually. I wanted to ask.
Yeah, for these 5 days, whatever we given the workshop, no, with respect to that, we for attendees we given one certificate to everyone.
Okay.
Okay. That is
Now
what
it's
we
clear.
given.
Okay.
Yeah. One more.
And that certification program is different.
Yes. Programming is different. One more is we have the certification, class certification in one day. What Vishweshwaran has said, it is globally recognized. They're given the badge for you people as a LabVIEW certified people. So that how it will be helpful to you people, because if you went to any interviews, you show your badge number, then no need of asking their relevant questions on LabVIEW. Directly they're asking application side, how you are interested. Okay, this is one benefit, and it is recognized all over the world. Any company from the world, you can ask to, you can show your badge number, that is your class certified number. Okay, that will be very much essential and very useful to people. And not only that, if anyone want to go with MS, higher studies, so this is also considered. If you have the certified person, definitely you can go with the good universities with relevant field, especially on electronics field I'm talking about. Okay, so better who are the people are working on LabVIEW or interested to work on LabVIEW, please complete the certification course. Then only it will be recognized. See, you know the LabVIEW, you know it, you take the exam. Okay, you clear it up. Then you get the certificate. Then it will be recognized. Until unless, definitely, simply you have a knowledge, it is keeping it you only. But it has to be explored with certification. That
How much time will take, sir, for the certification course?
Certification course, how much you are intelligent to grasp all the concepts. That is the main thing. See, for 5 days, I given the glimpse of the LabVIEW. With this, how you cope up to understand. You are ready to do some of the simple programs. You understand some of the functions. So then only you can go with the examination. In our center, probably the people are take up 1 week, 2 weeks. Some people are coming with 1 month. Some people are taken 2 months to take up the examination. That's how they're depend upon their knowledgeability.
After training, we have exams for this certification course.
Yes. See, there is a process is there. See, after training, we should supposed to refer your name, all the details to the National Instrument. After that, the people from the National Instrument, they're given you the slot to you when you're supposed to take up the examination. This is online examination. So then you're supposed to go to company only, or if you have the more number, then only we can continue exam in our center only. If the more numbers are there, we can take up the exam in our center only, or the 1 or 2 members, then you people has to go to National Instrument company. Then this should be an online examination. Okay, normally it is 100. It is all multiple choice questions. So it is all what something functions they are given. What maybe after execution this function gives. This kind of questions. They all are look simple. You can Google it. You can come to know that CLAT certification. What may be the CLAT questions? How the questions will coming. Okay, so you can come to know that.
Yes, sir. So what are the topics we'll explain
Better
tomorrow, sir?
you take up the certification. Pardon, sir?
What are the topics explained tomorrow, sir? Tomorrow's
Tomorrow,
topic,
yeah.
I think.
Tomorrow, we are going to be explaining about multi-simulation, introductions, and multi-simulation, what kind of circuit, how you are going to analyze or simulate the circuits, how we can do that. Okay. After that, we can go with the PLC programming, especially for controlling the machines or controlling any devices. You heard about the PLC, no? So in that, how do you program in multi-simulator? Because all we know that simple circuit designing and implementing in multi-sim, it's very simple, but we are take up into a different mode of in PLC. You can understand how it will be very easy. Okay, automation is in PLC multi-simulation. That is a one mode we need to be introduced.
Can we
Yes.
sir, can we have any material which is used for the connecting lab due to the
Definitely, we sharing you all the material. Even we are sharing the CLAT certification material also. Okay, need not to worry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir. Sir,
Yes.
in the tomorrow's class, can you explain how to take the signals from any of the sensors and how to visualize the pre-processing is done in the lab, you're right, sir? So
Yes.
that could you explain for us. Either you can take the example of ECG or some other pulse or whatever it is, kind of so that it will be useful to us.
Your voice is not that much of audible, ma. You do one thing, take my number, you please ring me, and what you want, you can ask me, then I can explain you that. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Right? Fine. Anything, other? I think everyone knows my number and mail ID. Please communicate through me that. Okay? Anything you want, I definitely will help you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lars.